8 out of 10 people will encounter a toxic person in their lifetime who not only challenges their peace, but also tests their strength. It's a quiet epidemic, silent yet overwhelmingly common. You might not see it, but beneath the surface many are wrestling with emotional manipulators who chip away at their sanity and self-worth. Today, we dive deep into not just surviving, but thriving in the face of such challenges. We're turning to the ancient yet incredibly relevant wisdom of Stoicism. This philosophy, over 2 millennia old, teaches us not only how to endure, but how to wield our inner strength like a finely tuned instrument in the symphony of life. From setting unbreakable boundaries to mastering the art of detachment, I'll guide you through 13 transformative strategies that will arm you with the tools you need to handle toxic people effectively. If you're ready to change the game and turn adversity into advantage, this video is your first step towards emotional empowerment. Join me as we reclaim our peace, one Stoic strategy at a time. 1. Identify toxic behavior. Toxic behavior can often be subtle, so subtle that sometimes it's mistaken for normal interaction, especially when it emanates from someone close to us. This is where the Stoic practice of objective observation becomes invaluable. The Stoics, like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, taught that understanding the nature of our interactions and the intentions behind them can lead to profound wisdom and self-protection. So, how do we begin to identify these toxic traits in everyday interactions? It starts with awareness. A person exhibiting toxic behavior often uses criticism or manipulation as their main tools. You might notice that every conversation leaves you feeling deflated. They may dismiss your achievements, always moving the goalposts, making it impossible for you to feel successful. This chronic belittlement is their way of keeping you off balance. Another red flag is perpetual victimhood. Toxic individuals have mastered the art of twisting narratives. They're always the injured party, no matter the circumstances. By positioning themselves as the perennial victim, they seek not just sympathy, but also to evade responsibility for their actions. In Stoicism, we're taught to see situations as they are, stripping away the layers of emotion and storytelling. This perspective helps us discern the truth behind the facade people often present. Then there's the issue of boundary crossing. Toxic people often don't respect personal space or limits. They may frequently demand your time or resources, showing little regard for your personal commitments or well-being. Stoicism reminds us of the importance of self-governance, controlling what we can, including our boundaries, and letting go of what we can't control, like others' demands and intrusions. These behaviors, among others, create a toxic stew that can cloud our judgment and impact our emotional health. But recognizing these patterns is the first step in reclaiming your peace. Once identified, you can begin to apply Stoic principles like detachment and rational judgment. This doesn't mean becoming emotionless or cold, but rather choosing not to let another's behavior dictate your internal state. By fostering this awareness and combining it with Stoic wisdom, you empower yourself not only to recognize toxicity, but also to make conscious choices about how to interact with those who exhibit these behaviors. This is not about changing them, that's beyond our power, but about changing how we respond, which is where our true power lies. 2. Understand it's not personal. One of the most liberating yet challenging aspects of dealing with difficult people is realizing that their behavior often has nothing to do with us. It's a reflection of their own internal battles, insecurities, or unresolved issues. The Stoics had a clear insight into this aspect of human behavior. They believed that every individual acts according to their own experiences and reasoning, however flawed it may be to an outside observer. When someone lashes out or manipulates, it's easy to fall into the trap of personalizing the action, of thinking, "What did I do to deserve this?" But embracing a Stoic perspective means understanding that people's negative behaviors are typically motivated by their own internal struggles. They project onto the external world what they are contending with internally. Take, for instance, someone who is perpetually critical or controlling. Their behavior could stem from their own fears of inadequacy or a deep-seated need to feel in control because they feel profoundly helpless in other parts of their life. If we view their actions through this lens, it becomes less of a personal attack and more a sad revelation of their state of being. This realization helps us to detach emotionally from the toxicity of others. Stoicism teaches us not to be swayed by external events, but to maintain our inner tranquility. By understanding that the behavior of others isn't a reflection of our worth or actions, we can maintain this tranquility. We manage our responses instead of reacting impulsively, which not only preserves our peace, but also gives us the upper hand in managing these interactions. Moreover, this insight provides a path to compassion. Marcus Aurelius advised us to meet others with kindness and understanding, even if their actions seem undeserving of such a response. By recognizing that their toxic behavior might be the outcome of their vulnerabilities and not a deliberate attempt to harm us, we can respond with a calm and measured demeanor that refuses to escalate the situation. 3. Set clear boundaries. Establishing boundaries is fundamentally about knowing where you end and someone else begins. In the Stoic view, it's about understanding what belongs within our sphere of control. Stoicism doesn't just suggest we endure, it encourages us to assertively protect our peace of mind by managing our interactions. Setting boundaries is a clear way to do this, marking out what is acceptable in our relationships and what is not. When we think about setting boundaries, it's often in the context of saying no or defining physical and emotional limits. But it's much more than that. It's also about affirming your right to prioritize your needs, define your space, and dictate the terms on which people can access your life and energy. This might look like deciding not to answer work calls after hours, or choosing not to engage in conversations that you find demeaning or overly critical. In the practice of Stoicism, there is emphasis on discipline and self-control, which directly applies to how we enforce our boundaries. For example, if someone consistently disrespects your time, a Stoic approach would be to calmly but firmly remind them of your limits. It's not about confrontation, but about consistent reinforcement of your principles. By setting these boundaries, you are not just protecting yourself, you are teaching others how to interact with you. This process involves clear communication, telling people what is and isn't acceptable, and then sticking to it. When boundaries are crossed, instead of reacting emotionally, a Stoic response would focus on a practical and detached enforcement of the set rules. This might mean withdrawing from a situation or a repeated assertion of your boundary in a calm manner. It's important to remember that while our control over external events is limited, our control over our responses is within our power. Setting and maintaining boundaries is essentially about making a decision on how you will respond when people test the limits you've set. This act of self-governance aligns with Stoic principles by helping us maintain equanimity and focus on what truly matters, our own rational choices and internal peace. Through this practice, not only do you safeguard your mental space, but you also cultivate a life that is less reactive and more intentional, a life where your interactions are based on respect and mutual understanding, and not on the whims and disregards of others. 4. Master the art of non-reaction. The Stoic philosophers, particularly Marcus Aurelius, often spoke about the power of retaining one's composure in the face of adversity. Mastering the art of non-reaction isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about choosing not to allow external actions to disturb your inner calm. This skill is incredibly effective when dealing with toxic people, who often thrive on the ability to provoke. When someone attempts to unsettle you with criticism or manipulation, their goal is typically to elicit a response that reaffirms their control. By choosing not to react, you break the cycle. Non-reaction should not be confused with passivity. It's a strategic decision, an active form of emotional defense. Think of it as choosing where to invest your energy. Is this situation or person worth your peace of mind? More often than not, the answer is no. In practical terms, mastering non-reaction means taking a moment to pause when provoked. During this pause, a Stoic would advise us to reflect on the nature of the provocation. Is this something within my control? If not, why should I allow it to disturb me? This reflection helps to put distance between the action and our response, giving us time to decide the most rational and less disruptive course of action. This approach aligns with the Stoic concept of focusing only on what we can control. When we stop reacting to every provocation, we retain control over our most precious resource, our mental state. Over time, this practice builds an inner resilience, transforming us into individuals who cannot be easily swayed by external circumstances. Imagine the strength it takes to remain calm in a storm of accusations or insults. This strength is what non-reaction fosters. It's not about being cold or unfeeling. It's about choosing not to engage in battles that disturb your peace. It's about realizing that the only true power toxic people have over you is the power you give them with your reactions. The more you practice this, the more you'll find that not only do toxic people lose their power over you, but your overall stress levels may decrease as well. You start to become what the Stoics envisioned, a person whose peace is unshakable because it depends not on external conditions, but on internal choices. 5. Use the grey rock method. Sometimes the best way to deal with a storm is not to shelter against it, but to become the most unremarkable rock upon which its waves crash ineffectually. This is the essence of the grey rock method, an approach that can be particularly effective when you're dealing with someone whose behavior is toxically attention-seeking. The method is about making yourself emotionally uninteresting and unresponsive, like a grey rock, thus starving the toxic person of the drama they feed on. Adopting this method doesn't mean changing who you are, but rather how you present yourself in interactions that can potentially be harmful. When you engage with someone toxic, keep your responses so minimal and bland that the other person finds no satisfaction in their attempts to manipulate or provoke you. Answer questions with simple, one-word answers or non-committal phrases like, maybe, I don't know, or I guess. The goal is to make the interaction as unfulfilling as possible so that the toxic individual will seek their emotional stimulation elsewhere. This tactic aligns with Stoic teachings about controlling our reactions and not allowing external behaviors to disrupt our internal peace. Stoicism doesn't advocate for emotional suppression, but rather for the wise management of one's visible emotions to maintain personal tranquility. By becoming a grey rock, you are practicing a form of Stoic indifference. You acknowledge the presence of toxicity, but choose not to let it affect your emotional state. Furthermore, this method teaches us the power of discretion in our interactions. Stoics like Epictetus emphasize that not every thought or feeling needs to be expressed, especially if doing so leads to turmoil or distress. In this way, using the grey rock method can be seen as practicing Stoic wisdom through selective engagement. You choose your battles wisely, knowing that peace comes not from silence alone, but from the strategic use of silence. Ultimately, the grey rock method is about protecting your energy. It's a practical application of Stoic resilience, allowing you to navigate challenging interpersonal dynamics without losing your composure. By mastering this approach, you can maintain your inner calm and limit the emotional toll that interactions with toxic people can often exact. 6. The broken record technique. When dealing with persistent negativity or demands, sometimes the most effective response is the simplest one: repeating your stance firmly and consistently. This is known as the broken record technique. It involves calmly restating your boundaries or position without escalating the situation, no matter how many times you are challenged or pushed to change your response. This technique can be incredibly effective in dealing with toxic people who thrive on pushing boundaries or creating conflict. In applying this method, you echo the Stoic principle of constancy and resilience. Stoicism teaches us to remain steadfast in our values and consistent in our actions, regardless of external pressures. This consistency is not about stubbornness. It's about aligning our responses with our rational decisions and moral compass. By repeating your point without deviation, you signal that your decision isn't up for negotiation. This can be particularly powerful in conversations where someone is trying to manipulate or guilt you into doing something that goes against your better judgment. For example, if someone keeps pressing you to commit to a favor you are uncomfortable with, simply repeating, "I'm not available for that," every time it's brought up leaves little room for misinterpretation and slowly diminishes the other person's resolve to sway you. Each repetition reinforces your boundary, teaching the other person that your stance is firm and unlikely to be influenced by pressure or emotional appeals. This technique also draws on the Stoic practice of maintaining emotional equanimity. Stoics strive to respond to life's challenges with a level head and a steady heart, which is exactly what the broken record technique embodies. It avoids the emotional exhaustion that can come from engaging in lengthy explanations or justifications. Instead, it conserves your mental energy and keeps you focused on what matters most: your peace of mind and adherence to your principles. 7. Limit exposure. Sometimes the most effective way to handle toxicity is to simply reduce the amount of time you spend in its presence. Limiting exposure to toxic people isn't about avoidance. It's about strategically choosing to spend your time and energy in environments that are more conducive to your well-being. This aligns closely with the Stoic practice of focusing on what contributes positively to one's life and withdrawing from that which harms us. The Stoics believed in the importance of surrounding oneself with goodness and reason, suggesting that our environment and company can significantly influence our character and inner peace. By reducing interactions with those who drain your emotional energy, you're not just avoiding negativity, you're actively cultivating a more positive and serene environment for yourself. Practically, this could mean choosing not to attend certain gatherings where a toxic person will be present, or it might involve setting digital boundaries, such as not responding to provoking messages immediately. It could also mean restructuring your social circle or professional relationships in ways that minimize your direct contact with difficult individuals. This strategy is about exercising control over your environment to the extent possible. While we can't always choose who we work with or who our relatives are, we can often decide how much and in what manner we engage with them. Reducing exposure can also be seen as a form of mental hygiene, keeping your mind clear of unnecessary stress and negativity. Moreover, by limiting your exposure to challenging people, you're not just protecting your current state of mind, you're also preventing future emotional turmoil. This proactive approach helps maintain a steady state of inner calm, as endorsed by Stoic teachings. Stoics value tranquility and argue that it's sometimes necessary to remove oneself from situations or relationships that are fraught with discord. 8. Build your support system. A robust support system is not just a luxury, it's a cornerstone of healthy living, much like the community is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics understood the importance of fellowship and the strength that comes from having wise and supportive companions. They believed in the concept of mutual uplift, where one can lean on others for support, guidance, and insight, helping to cultivate virtues and navigate life's complexities together. Building a support system means surrounding yourself with individuals who understand and respect your journey and who encourage you to maintain your boundaries and grow as a person. This could be friends who appreciate your need for quiet reflection, or family members who support your decisions without judgment. It might also include finding a community, perhaps one that practices Stoic principles, where members encourage each other to develop resilience and inner peace. This support network acts as a sounding board and a mirror, reflecting back to you not only who you are but who you can be. In moments when dealing with toxic people starts to erode your self-esteem or cloud your judgment, these trusted individuals can offer perspectives that realign your sense of self and reinforce your values. They remind you that you are not alone in your struggles and that others share your commitment to living a meaningful and principled life. Additionally, having a supportive circle allows for a healthier emotional outlet, providing a space where you can express your frustrations and challenges without fear of manipulation or retaliation. This is crucial in maintaining mental health, especially when navigating toxic relationships, as it prevents the isolation that these relationships often aim to create. By cultivating such relationships, you embody another Stoic ideal, the pursuit of wisdom through community and dialogue. Just as the ancient Stoics gathered to discuss philosophy and support each other in their personal growth, so too can you benefit from a modern equivalent, be it through physical meetups, online forums, or simple gatherings with like-minded friends. 9. Prioritize self-care. In the midst of navigating challenging relationships, it's crucial to remember the importance of self-care. While self-care might conjure images of indulgent days at the spa, it's fundamentally about maintaining your well-being so you can handle life's stresses with resilience. The Stoics, too, placed great emphasis on caring for the self, but their focus was on nurturing the mind and soul as much as, if not more than, the body. They believed that a well-kept mind was essential for rational thought and virtuous living. Self-care in the Stoic sense involves practices that keep you mentally and emotionally fit. It means setting aside time for reflection, perhaps through journaling or meditation, where you can process emotions and experiences in a healthy way. This kind of mental maintenance allows you to detach and view your circumstances with clarity, helping you make decisions that are in alignment with your values rather than reactions to external pressures. Moreover, self-care means setting boundaries around your time and energy. It requires recognizing when certain interactions are depleting your resources and giving yourself permission to step back. This is not selfish. It's necessary for maintaining your health and effectiveness in all areas of life. Whether it's saying no to extra commitments that will stretch you too thin, or ensuring you have time each day to unwind and do things that bring you joy, these actions are critical for sustaining your well-being. Physical self-care is equally important and is something the Stoics would have seen as essential to their ability to think clearly and act virtuously. This could include regular exercise, a nutritious diet, and enough sleep, practices that keep the body strong and the mind sharp. Embracing self-care also means being proactive about seeking help when you need it. Whether it's professional counseling or talking to a wise friend, getting support in managing your mental health is a profound act of self-care. It shows a commitment to self-improvement and the Stoic ideal of personal growth through external aids when necessary. By prioritizing self-care, you uphold your dignity and respect your inherent worth. You also equip yourself to handle toxic relationships with strength and grace, embodying the Stoic principle that external circumstances should not disturb your inner peace. 10. Recognize you cannot fix everyone. One of the toughest lessons in life is accepting that not everyone around us is open to change, especially when their behaviors are deeply ingrained. This realization is particularly relevant when dealing with toxic individuals whose actions may have a detrimental impact on our emotional health. Stoicism offers a valuable perspective here, emphasizing the importance of focusing on what we can control, our actions and responses, and releasing our grip on what we can't, which includes the behaviors and choices of others. Embracing this principle involves understanding that no amount of effort, care, or persuasion on your part can change someone who is not willing to change themselves. This is not a reflection of your inadequacy, but a fundamental aspect of human autonomy. Each person must choose for themselves whether to grow and adapt or remain in their established patterns. Stoics would argue that expending energy trying to change an unwilling person is not only futile, but also a misallocation of your valuable resources, time and energy that could be better spent on improving yourself and supporting those who are receptive to your help. This acknowledgement doesn't mean you stop caring about others or withdraw your support. Instead, it's about adjusting expectations and redirecting your efforts towards more fruitful endeavors. It involves shifting your focus from trying to fix others to enhancing your own life and cultivating virtues such as patience, understanding, and resilience. By doing so, you honor another Stoic ideal, living in accordance with nature, which includes accepting people as they are. Moreover, recognizing that you cannot fix everyone helps in setting healthier relationship dynamics. It frees you from the emotional burden of feeling responsible for someone else's happiness or growth and empowers you to establish boundaries. It teaches you the value of letting go in situations where your involvement is more harmful than helpful to your own well-being. While you can offer support, share wisdom, or model positive behavior, the choice to change rests with the individual. Letting go of the need to fix others not only alleviates stress, but also enriches your personal peace and allows you to invest more deeply in relationships with individuals who appreciate and reciprocate your efforts. This not only fosters your own growth, but also upholds the Stoic practice of focusing on what truly lies within your power. 11. Use cognitive reframing. Cognitive reframing is a powerful tool that involves changing the way you perceive an event or interaction, thus altering its emotional impact. It's a technique that draws heavily on Stoic principles, particularly the idea that it's not events themselves that upset us, but our interpretations of them. By adjusting our perspective, we can maintain our tranquility and find more effective ways to deal with challenges. When faced with a toxic person, for instance, it's easy to interpret their negativity as a direct attack. However, reframing involves seeing this behavior as a reflection of their own struggles and insecurities rather than a personal affront. This shift in perspective is crucial because it moves you from a position of vulnerability to one of understanding and control. You start to see that their actions are dictated by their own internal issues, which are separate from you. This technique doesn't just reduce the emotional sting, it also enhances your ability to respond more wisely. If someone's harsh words are seen as a result of their own stress or unhappiness, you're less likely to respond with defensiveness or anger. Instead, you can choose to respond with compassion or decide not to engage at all, maintaining your inner peace. Stoicism teaches that we have the power to choose our reactions, and cognitive reframing is a practical application of this teaching. It allows us to break free from automatic emotional responses and to engage our rational mind. By doing so, we align our responses more closely with our values and the kind of person we aspire to be. Additionally, cognitive reframing can be used to transform challenges into opportunities for growth. For example, a difficult interaction can be reframed not just as a stressful ordeal, but as a chance to practice patience or assertiveness. This not only makes the experience more bearable, but also contributes to personal development. Using cognitive reframing, then, we not only manage our interactions with toxic people more effectively, but also deepen our practice of Stoicism by exercising control over our perceptions and emotions. This approach empowers us to live more deliberately, responding to life's complexities with wisdom and equanimity. 12. Practice forgiveness for your own peace. Forgiveness can be one of the most challenging yet profoundly liberating practices we can incorporate into our lives, especially when dealing with toxic behaviors. It's a concept deeply embedded in Stoic philosophy, not just as a moral virtue, but as a practical tool for maintaining inner peace. Stoics advocate for forgiveness because they recognize that holding on to anger and resentment ties us to the past and disrupts our present tranquility. Forgiving someone who has wronged you does not mean condoning their actions or forgetting the harm they caused. Rather, it's about letting go of the hold that your negative feelings about the situation have on you. This act of letting go is primarily for your benefit, not theirs. By forgiving, you free up mental space that was once consumed by bitterness and grudges, allowing more positive thoughts and emotions to take their place. The process of forgiveness also reflects the Stoic understanding that people act according to their level of knowledge and awareness. If someone acts harmfully, it's often because they're operating under some misconception, or they are ignorant of a wiser way to behave. From this viewpoint, those who wrong us are mistaken in their approach to living, which can elicit compassion rather than ongoing hostility. Embracing forgiveness encourages us to focus on what we can control, our attitudes and responses. Stoicism teaches that while we can't control others' actions or the past, we can always choose how we interpret and respond to those actions. When you choose forgiveness, you are choosing not to let another person's behavior dictate your emotional state. This aligns with the Stoic pursuit of autonomy over one's inner life. Moreover, practicing forgiveness can be seen as an exercise in self-respect. It reaffirms your ability to heal and move forward, asserting that your peace is more important than clinging to hurt. It's an acknowledgement that your emotional well-being is paramount and that you possess the strength to reclaim it. In practical terms, forgiveness might start with small, deliberate decisions to not react with anger or to avoid ruminating on past offenses. It often requires consistent practice and patience. Each act of forgiveness, no matter how small, is a step towards a more peaceful and resilient life, one that honors Stoic principles by prioritizing rationality, emotional health, and personal freedom. 13. When to walk away. Knowing when to walk away from a toxic situation is crucial for maintaining your well-being and upholding your values. This decision is a strong testament to the Stoic belief in self-preservation and the importance of choosing environments that nurture rather than diminish us. Stoics emphasize the need to focus on what benefits our character and inner peace, which sometimes means removing ourselves from sources of persistent negativity. Walking away is not an act of cowardice, but of courage and practical wisdom. It signifies a deep understanding of what you can and cannot change. In the face of a relationship where mutual respect and growth are consistently absent, Choosing to leave is about respecting yourself enough to say no to further harm. This decision aligns with the Stoic practice of differentiating between what is within our control and what is not. While we can attempt to influence others positively, their response and behavior ultimately lie beyond our control. The act of walking away is also a reflection of the Stoic principle that external circumstances should not be allowed to disturb our inner tranquility. By leaving a toxic environment, you take proactive steps to protect your mental and emotional health, ensuring that these external forces do not disrupt your peace. It's about recognizing that your environment plays a key role in your ability to live a good life, according to Stoic virtues. Moreover, this decision often comes after much reflection and consideration, hallmarks of Stoic thought. It involves assessing whether the situation aligns with your values and whether continued involvement might cause more harm than good. It's a calculated move that, although difficult, is made with the clear intention of improving your life. Walking away can be the most empowering action you take. It's a declaration that you have the agency to shape your life and choose the relationships that form part of it. Each step away from toxicity is a step towards self-respect, peace, and the kind of life that you aspire to live, one that is in harmony with Stoic ideals of self-mastery and inner peace. In embracing this action, you embody the Stoic resolve to not only endure, but to thrive by actively shaping your life's narrative. Thank you for joining me today and exploring these Stoic strategies for handling life's challenges. Remember, the path to peace isn't through changing others, but by mastering ourselves. If you found this helpful and want to dive deeper, check out the suggested video on the screen for more insights. Thank you for being a part of the Stoic Journal community. Take care and continue to cultivate your inner strength.